So I just want to say a few words about how I hold this topic, erotic embodiment intimacy, sort of in the broader context of my work that I call Falling Open Together. Uh, first of all, I just want to say that I don't consider the topic of erotic embodiment intimacy to be at all separate from the invitation to falling open. Is very much part of the sort of more general invitation to fall open. And the reason I felt called to offer a gathering on this particular topic, which I normally don't do. Normally it's very much like open to whatever comes up. It's because there's such a strong taboo against bringing loving consciousness to our erotic experience, to erotic embodiment. It's the shame and the fear and the trauma around sexuality, eros, is so intense that often it doesn't feel safe to turn our attention there or to share about our experience, even in open spiritual spaces, or maybe especially in open spiritual spaces. So, with that being said, I'd like to just invite us into this space together. Really inviting contact with a direct experience as it is right now. And just allowing awareness to open beyond the screen. Really including everything that's here. Again, just because we have a title for this gathering called Erotic Embodiment Intimacy doesn't mean that some parts of our experience shouldn't be here, or that we're supposed to fixate on whatever it is that we call erotic embodiment. Whatever we're experiencing is completely welcome here. And just allowing ourselves to really rest on the ground. To really let the weight of the body be here, let it be held by the ground, held by the chair. And there's absolutely no effort required. Nothing we have to make happen. And there's no part of our experience we need to stop or reject. Yeah, really allowing ourselves to be here. Yeah, we belong here. We belong in this piece of ground. We belong in this field. And allowing the breath to come from the base of the torso. Again, not needing to make anything happen, just the natural breath. And then allowing everything to be released in the out breath. And allowing our full life energy to be expressed. Not needing to hold it in. And just noticing whatever's here in the body, all the different sensations. Including the painful, the uncomfortable, as well as the pleasurable, the sensual. Just really allowing ourselves to be inside all the different sensations, all the different flavors of energy. And just bringing loving awareness to the base of the torso, the energetic root. And just gently bringing loving awareness to whatever our experience is, however the energy feels. allowing all the sensations to be there. Including the sensations of the genitals. And allowing arousal if it wants to be here. Without the slightest demand. And just noticing that we're erotic beings, sexual beings. And we get to enjoy this erotic dimension of experience. And noticing any fear or shame that's present. Just really bringing loving awareness to whatever our experience is. There's nothing we should be experiencing, nothing we shouldn't be experiencing. It's all totally valid. And just noticing all the different vibrations as they move up through the body. There's plenty of space for even the strongest energies. And feel free to allow the body to move a little if that feels good. And just allowing awareness to touch everything that's here. This is our life energy, all its different forms and flavors. And this energy is here for us to experience, to feel. And to allow it to move us. And just noticing whatever our relationship is to these different types of energies, these different types of vibrations, these different forms of aliveness. Which ones do we feel permission to enjoy? Which ones do we try to shut down? Which ones are we scared of, ashamed of? And again, really allowing the experiences of fear or shame to be here, not making them wrong. It's totally safe to feel all these different sensations, all the different layers to our experience. And just noticing how alive all of this is. And allowing awareness all the way in. And letting ourselves know the whole truth of our experience. Even the parts that feel dark or scary. Have been made wrong. And then noticing the natural innocence of all our experiences. What we find pleasurable or uncomfortable. What we find exciting or scary. Our desire, our repulsions. And nothing we're experiencing is wrong. And just allowing awareness to light up everything that's here. And we get to have the whole of our experience. And completely including the sexual, the erotic. And really like meeting the direct experience. Before it's interpreted, before it's named, before it's judged. And really letting everything be here, even numbness or deadness or anger. And just notice how awareness doesn't reject any part of our experience. And we get to be here for all of this. And I just invite you to notice that we're here in company, that we're together in this shared field. And then the erotic dimension of our experience gets to be here, even in company. And we're allowed to be fully here, fully alive. Including every part of our experience. And when you're willing, I just invite you to allow your eyes to open. And just receiving the visual field. Not needing to make anything happen. And I'd love to open this space for you to share whatever you're experiencing, whatever's alive for you.
Hey Adam, it's Richie.
Hey, Richie.
Hi. I'm called to share because I'm feeling so alive right now. So I just wanted to share.
Yeah, wonderful.
Um, yeah, I felt I was making it. For some reason, sounds were called on. I'm a very sexual being. I just I love sexuality. Oh my God, it's. Whew. I mean, I don't really just see a separation between sexuality. Like I always think of like the bedroom and like the sexual stuff is like it's like the rest of my like existence on like steroids. So it's like this sexual experience is just like a super like steroid filled. Just it's just I don't even know how to describe it. But so again, and now it's even showing up here for me.
Yeah.
I feel so much. I was making sounds that were just like this like revving up of like. It was like going up to like. And I just felt all of these vibrations moving through my body. Right now, I'm tingling like all over. um I went through all these different experiences of like freaking like
Mm.
um uh I kept having the shame would show up like I'm not supposed to be doing this, or I shouldn't be doing that, or I should be having this experience that I'm
Yeah.
having, or I shouldn't be making the sounds that I'm having. It's like I could just see how that would show up in sex, right? Like it's like oh no, I have to do it this way. Like it's like I have to do it the right way. But man, right now I'm just letting whatever was showing up. I'm like tingling all over. I'm just like feeling so like, and like I let anger show up too. I was just like, because like a lot of times, like again, I'm a spiritual man. Like I have to be gentle and soft, and that's the spiritual way is to be soft and gentle. It's like like in sex, it's like I have to
Mm.
be a spiritual sexual person. It's such bullshit. It's like, it's I'm just like to let myself have like that inner like,
Yeah.
like man, like I'm a man. Like not that a woman can't be like I'm a woman. There's so much vibration and energy. It's just like, let myself fucking have it.
Mm.
Woo! It feels so good, and it's like I could see where the shame shows up of like, like fear. Like I know for me, actually, a lot of times I'm afraid to even have that intimacy, to make that connection, especially with my intimate partner, because, there's all the stuff that shows up in it. Especially when I'm with her, because it's just like all the fear of like I can't be this way, or I can't have what I want. I can't ask for what I want. Um, you know but like even like in this moment, as I'm like letting myself have all of this experience, and really taking the time, and being with the breath, and energizing myself, and letting myself notice the numb places but not get attached to the numb places, and just being like, yeah, let's bring some sexy there, like it's just the more I let myself be alive, like I see all the places in my life, especially in sexuality or in eroticism, where I don't let myself be alive. um when man, like if I could, it's just like such a great feeling, like right here, where I just have this permission to be so alive and so just feel the pleasure, right? It was so pleasurable when I was feeling the vibrations. It was just like, whoa, this is so juicy.
Mm-hmm.
um and I'm not even really feeling it much in my groin area, like in my penis or anything like that. I don't really feel that much. I'm not really, it's not, my energy is not really focused there. I feel in my chest, my shoulders, my face, um, my legs. I started hitting myself really hard. For some reason, I was just called to that, and it was like, "Fuck, this is amazing!" Like, like maybe like I guess in the kink or something, like there's a lot of slapping and stuff. But I was just like slapping myself like really hard, and I was like, this feels really good. It's like boom, these vibrations like whoosh, 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 all over. Um,
Yeah, I love the
yeah,
way you're just like really honoring like the natural wisdom of your movement in the moment. Just like letting you experience what's coming through and what you feel called to. There's the noises, the movements. So good. So we so
yeah.
have that. Like we're discovering what wants to happen in the moment. It's not like there's a fix, like this is what we're supposed to be. We so get to discover it. So alive,
Yeah,
so vibrant. It's not interested in what was yesterday's news or some formula. It's like what's here now.
Yeah. I like, it's like there was this like thing where it's like I have to be more in my subtle experience, more in my subtle experience. It's like, don't get me wrong, like there's like I mean I me and like in my with my partner, I've had this experience of like such an enlightened experience of like feeling all these subtle energies and moving through and moving up and just like these explosive, beautiful experiences. Um, though this more physical experience is really amazing too. This vibration-y kind of like yeah, it's all so juicy and delicious and scrumptious. And I notice when the fear shows up and like it's like the fear of like you know, like I can't do this, I shouldn't do that, I shouldn't feel this, I shouldn't be angry. Like one of my friends was talking to me, a man, about this tantra workshop that was like finding your inner rapist. And I was like, oh shit, like, you know, it's that's could be really triggering, I can imagine, for people.
Mm.
um though even hearing that, but it's like, you know, just what I think I'm honoring, like whatever these urges or callings and like by whatever is calling to be up, and if we can really acknowledge it consciously,
Exactly.
um and be aware of it, you know, it's like the people who don't acknowledge it and aren't aware of it and aren't consciously discovering that, you know, that inner rapist or whatever, that yearning, that desire, that's where they kind of, it might, you know, run away with them. And I was thinking, like Krishna Das says, if you don't deal with your sexuality will deal with you. So it's like, you know, in that sense, it's like really letting myself fucking have it and explore it and be with it. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I think all those different energies, all the shadowy, dark material. It's like we so get to inhabit that, we get to know these parts of ourselves, and it's like, and then the whole, then that's where integration happens. That's where the movement can come from a larger place.
mm,
As long as it's like
mm.
split of like I'm not supposed to feel this and that's not allowed, then it's like we're always on edge because we don't, you know, like we're not allowed to know even our experience. You know, we're blocked against it. We're shutting it down, driving in.
Yeah. Mm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I feel so warm and hot and sexy. Just sweat everywhere. It's but it feels so good. It feels so nice. It's like this like warm sensation and cooling sensation at the same time, and this yeah, it's like this like it's like this hugging feeling. I feel it in my belly, like the lower part of my belly, and it kind of just keeps coming up, and I'm just like, and like the breath, it's like whenever I allow the breath to go into it, it's like ah, you know, even when I feel the breath and I say make the breath, it's like I can feel the vibrations of the breath, and it's even like more enticing. It's like oh, you know, it's like it's just like it feels so good and so just moving and releasing. Yeah, like just like this vibration moving all the way up and out. It's just like, and it's just going and it's like circular. And it was like making these sounds. Like I think of like, you know, we do Kapalabhati breath, like in yoga, but then we're like, you know, it's like, like but that's fine. But then when I think of like it's like shame, 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 shame. Like you can't make that sound. Like, and what are people gonna think? Like if you're people are gonna think something. So I'm thinking about even in a yoga class, it's like, you know, calm your Kapalabhati breath, guys. You know, you might sound like you're making a sexual sound, and people will be very uncomfortable. It's like it's the same thing. It's like, and it's like it feels so good to just let it flow, flow, flow. Yeah. So, and I'm just keep giggling. There's this giggle. I want to I don't like to use names to just be honoring, but somebody, you know, talked about like the giggle after the orgasm, right? So it's like just have this big experience of like, oh, it's like I kept having these releasings where then there'd be like this little giggle that was so like it's so innocent, so sweet, you know, like this little, you know, like after that big release. So yeah.
Mm. Mm.
Well, thank you for letting me share. And
So
thank you for holding space and creating this so that it was an opportunity to share myself and be with you all. So yeah,
yeah,
I'm
and
complete.
so beautiful to feel your energy. So beautiful. Yeah, and just love the way you're honoring what's true for you and the like the movement that wants to come through. It's so the invitation here.
Yeah, and it's so everyone's energy. I mean, like this, you know, the space gives me this permission. You know, it's like everybody. I'm just, you know, an expression, and it's like it's just everybody's permission. You know, it gives me the space to be able to really to show up this way. So thank you.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, so good.
and your permission. Thank you. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, Joel.
I have to. Um, well, at times it just feels wonderful to be erotic when I have a partner who's also feeling erotic. But I find I'm single, I'm dating. I just have this caution. It doesn't feel very authentic. Well, if I come on strong erotically or I really share my sexual interests, it'll push them away because women don't want men chasing after their body or seen as a sex. I'm fearing this little reaction,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of understand it. But from my perspective, for my needs, it doesn't feel real. Um, hell, at my age, what does it matter?
Yeah.
if
And I just want to draw the distinction here because it's very important. Like that, your and our sexual energy, our erotic experience, so gets to be the way that it is. So we so get to have the experience we have, and then the way we relate to each other, the way we relate to other people, it's like there's an invitation to tune in to like the shared space. To tune into like what's wants to happen here in the shared space. So it's not that our experience is ever wrong. Right? It's like, but the movement that happens there can be aligned, can be attuned, can be in, where it meets a mutual yes, and it's like, yes, wonderful, we're playing together in this space, or it can be it can feel a bit off and a bit clunky, and it's like, oh, I'm not really aware of what's going on here, and there's stepping on each other's toes, and there's so it's like, so just like noticing like what's happening in the space in between.
yeah,
And it never makes our experience wrong. No. It's not that we're having the wrong experience, like we should feel differently. We so get to feel the way that we feel. We so get to have the experience we're having. But also the invitation in relationship, of course, is to come into connection, to intimacy, to attunement, and see what's real here between us, what's moving through us.
yeah. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, and to again, just to see how vulnerable that space is, that space where we come together, and like, because we can feel we can, strong experience of shame, of feelings of being rejected can come up. We can it's a very vulnerable space to be in when we move into intimacy together. So often we'll notice fear, just like dropping into any sort of depth of intimacy with someone. Immediately some anxiety can come up, and like, wow, what if I make the wrong move here, or what's happening? So it's beautiful just to like sort of acknowledge those fears that we have around intimacy, and like the fact that we will make mistakes sometimes. It's to take off the idea that we should already know what someone else wants, or where they're coming from, or where they're at. It's like, that's the invitation for the discovery. Of course we don't know. That's the invitation to discover. That's what makes the space between so alive and dynamic.
I'm taking it in. I don't have a response other than, yeah, that it's clearer now. You said the word vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
That really resonates. I am vulnerable that way. Although usually women, if they sense I'm sexually attracted to them, they don't feel the same way. They're usually tactful about saying no,
Mm-hmm.
making it a friendship or something.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I feel vulnerable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that's so part of the invitation with intimacy is like to be vulnerable with each other.
Oh,
You know, to be in that delicate space.
yeah. It's a delicate space.
Yeah.
I I notice how different I feel if a woman is just so open to touch or romance or something. I just feel it. Ah, come alive, but when I'm not sure, well, maybe that's good.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sensitive to them not being where I am.
Right. Right. And that's important. You know, it's like because we actually want to be in a mutual yes with what's happening rather than a one person's a yes and the other person's a no. You know, we want to find the mutual yes for the relationship
Mm,
in that moment.
yeah.
You know, what's true for both of us, what's true, what truly wants to happen here in the relational space.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciate the vulnerability of your sharing. Mm.
Adam.
Ah, Kyrie.
Hi. Wow. What a unique experience. And there it is, the the blood pumping in the belly that happens whether we're talking about sex or not. Just, getting ready to share,
Yeah.
and the aliveness. And yeah, I felt I needed to say this before any more time went on, because I noticed that I started to cut off a part of my experience, because my parents are here. And and my partner Richie's sharing, and I'm loving a lot of what he's saying. Dad's so cute. He's like, I see that smile. Oh my goodness gracious. And so I noticed, like there was a little bit of like, okay, I'm enjoying what Richie's saying. I'm watching Luciana like smile, and like I'm loving the way like she's reacting, and like there's just this beauty. And then there's also like, this kind of like fear, or like, I don't know, can I, like, can we talk about this right now with mom and dad here? And it's so interesting that that's how, I guess we've been conditioned, I don't know, by society or whatever, to think about, I guess it's like Joelle said, it's a vulnerable, like you both said, it's a very vulnerable space. And I noticed that it's not just like, it kind of made me also think about how I sort of muffle myself. Like I don't, like if I'm starting to want to make sexual sounds during sex, I often like, especially if I think, oh, the neighbors are going to hear me, like I start to like silence myself. Even the other, we stayed with some friends recently, a friend who was going away, and like they're friends who are like very, like they embrace their sexuality. Like I was surprised. I still like, I silenced myself. And in fact, I noticed that, that when I did that, that it actually stopped my orgasm. The fact that I kept my, like I was like, oh, oh yes, like I like whispered. I was like, oh yes. Oh my goodness gracious. I'm like turning the pages. I want to, like, I'm looking for dad's reaction, but I've lost him. It's probably for the best. He's on another page. It's okay. I can see mom still. She's smiling. But yeah, it's interesting that we, you know, I'm saying I don't know if all of us do that, but I imagine that, you know, many people might,
Yeah.
you know.
And just notice how strong that taboo is, you know, like,
Mm,
so even when you're with people, you know, you're staying with people who you know are like totally open and fine, and, you know, like intellectually, you know, there's not a problem here. It's
mm,
like, still the taboo is so strong. It's like, no, don't make the noise. Don't
mm,
let anyone else hear.
mm.
Yeah.
And well, and such vulnerable sounds too, because they're like, I guess
Yeah.
that's like the epitome of like letting go of control, of like surrendering and just like the unknown, like discovering inside of that vulnerability. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's so alive, you know, it's like we so want to like touch those places inside us to be able to express them.
Mm.
And it's so hard for us to feel safe in that, you know, even when we're with our partners, often we don't feel safe to express.
Mm. Well, and even letting that energy be there, like you mentioned in company, like I noticed you said something about, I don't remember exactly, but it made me think about how like that sexual energy is not just like in the bedroom, like that it's like life force energy. It's like the energy that could like have me write a song, that like, you know, could have me accomplish something, help me clean my room, you know, like just life. It's such a big part of us that it's not just, you know, like Richie said, you know, it's not just like feeling in genitals. Like I was noticing, I was actually, one of the best places I was feeling was like an energy in my throat, which was really cool, and like some belly energy, and just how it's so, I want to welcome it in my life even beyond there. Just like what would it be like to feel comfortable to like, you know, stand outside and like even just like feel that aliveness. And like you mentioned in your, I just read a little bit of the article about this, and it was something about like the subtlety of those energies, that we get to feel the subtlety of our experience, the energy that makes babies, that um, it just feels like what a much more fulfilling life it could be, with like letting that energy just flow like through the body. And
Yeah, it's like being in touch with that inspiration. Like, and it's like that's the life energy is inspiration. It's like the aliveness coming through us, animating us, bringing us into the world, expression, creativity.
yeah.
Like when we're not allowed that, when that's made wrong, it's like it's really hard for us to like want to get up in the morning to do anything. It's like when we're not
Mm.
allowed to enjoy, when we're not allowed to be aroused, we're not allowed to be here.
Ooh, truth bumps, holy cannoli, wow. Yeah. Ooh. Mm. You all so much.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Cookie. Rich, that's Richie's nickname, Cookie. And mine too.
Thank you for your courage and sharing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you know who's next, Sarah?
Yeah, I can see Paul was first.
Who, sorry?
I can see Paul was first with the hand.
Paul?
You're in
Oh,
the
right. Yeah, yeah. Right.
Oh, there we are. Okay. Hi, it's me
Hi.
and Paul. Good morning.
Hi.
um, hmm. I wanted to explore some of the energies that move through during meditation,
Mhm.
some reflections. Well, sort of the first layer is being in a female body. There's going to be a bunch of history, and I guess it could vary from person to person, but there's the whole thing about making babies, and sometimes that is like not a desired outcome, and so it's just a different kind of holdout energy, being female during, you know, those years. I'm past that, happily. not an issue anymore, but I just remember always having to feel a little on guard to completely surrendering to, you know, whatever might want to happen. Like, figure out some barrier or whatever have you. And that was, it was a responsibility that fell to the female, and generally does. So just, I guess it feels like, to honor that, it feels like there's always this like responsibility in sort of tension with or balance with the freedom to just experience and enjoy. And I just thought it's worth bringing that up.
Yeah, and it's so appreciate you, like, you know, speaking to this. Yeah, and the way that often we have sort of many different desires, right? So we might have a desire for sex, and we also have a desire to not have a baby, for example.
Yeah.
And like honoring the truth of that. So it's not like sex is our #1 priority or something, or like that. You know, like I'm not. It's not that we need to privilege the erotic or the sexual at all. You know, it's like honoring like all our different desires, everything that's true.
Yeah, I just, you know, I could go into a whole thing about that, but I don't think I want to use the time that way. Where I want to, well, okay, yeah, just remember, like, in a marriage, there's always this tension around like who wants what, and I mean, I guess you kind of spoke to it about it's a dance and all that, but it can be a thicket, all this emotional cloudiness, lack of communication, resentments that can just build like in a long relationship, like just, ugh.
Yeah, and it's so like that sort of dark thicket, like in part because there's such a taboo in talking about these things. You know, it's so difficult for us to communicate because it feels so vulnerable. There's so much shame around it.
Yeah, it's like this whole like 2000 years like Judeo-Christian, or really more Christian like thing about sin and all that, and then you layer into that or smash into that with like, well, we're liberated, so y'all better, like, you know, have a good time, and if you don't, then you're also like looked on or feel bad about. It's like another thing to sort of have to do right. And then like pushing down through that, and what I actually wanted to share about that's more present for me, although all that's kind of there, it feels like it's more sort of pushed out. There was this like going into my root and feeling the energy through my pelvis and torso, and just like I experienced like this light and like incredible power. And I actually had this image of a praying mantis, which wasn't the first time I had that image. It's like, whoa, like she's dangerous. Like, And then I kind of like in my head was a little curious, like, well, maybe that's kind of what they were trying to push down. Like this feminine energy is like tremendous.
Yeah.
And then curiously, like in the experience of being intimate, particularly with my partner here, I experienced like just like this tremendous surrender, just you know, have me like I'm just completely open, which sort of seems like the opposite of this tremendous power, but somehow I think it's all there simultaneously. I mean, I understand it or need to just it's a lot of life.
Yeah, and like knowing how powerful we are, like having that sense of that inner power, it allows the space for surrender to happen, for deep surrender. You know, like we can create the space. You know, we like when we're sure that we, you know, like we have a yes and we have a no, and like we're in our power, then we can really go places. You know, we can really create whatever container we want.
Yeah, it has to feel really safe.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and feeling your own power like is such a huge part of that feeling of safety. Being in touch with that.
Yeah, I hadn't really put that together, but I think that feels true. Yeah.
You know, being able to speak the truth of your experience, being able to articulate what you want, what you don't want.
Yeah, that's a process, and it feels like all this work around the throat and just like gradually and repeatedly like experiencing like the constrictions there moving away like over a period of years and many satsangs and many meditations and singing and whatever, screaming. Yeah. Just to be able to say, I want this. I don't want that. Like, wow.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's not a small thing.
No.
I mean, you know, not many of us are really free there. You know, most of us have some experience of like, wow, really speaking what's true here, you know, when it's this vulnerable.
Well, yeah, and a lot of us, myself anyway, is like, well, you've tried it before and you didn't land well, wasn't heard right, came out wrong, felt like scary. Yeah,
Yeah.
so good to have that.
Yeah, and this is like, you know, not making the fear wrong. You know, we've had experiences. We haven't had them personally. That collectively we've had them. You know, and that's in the field. You know, really making space for the fear that we feel there. How difficult it can be to show up authentically, to feel safe, to feel powerful.
Yeah, so good that you're doing this. Thank you, Adam.
I so feel like we're doing this together. So grateful for your sharing. Yeah, thank you. Who's next, Sarah?
Now we have Carrie. You're unmuted, Carrie.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. Oh, I've been so touched by what everyone is sharing.
Actually, it's a little quiet. I don't know if you could, it's
Okay.
possible to make it louder.
I'll try. This is our ongoing issue, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to turn my volume up so I can hear you better.
Okay, I'll turn this one up. Let's try that. Okay, is that any better? Okay, I'll talk loud. So everything people have shared has been touching something in me, and I guess first off, kind of in response to what Julie was saying, I was very fortunate a week ago to have a time with an ex-boyfriend and away at the coast, and we were there 3 nights, and it wasn't until the 3rd night that being sexual felt like the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we had talked and talked and talked, and I'd been more transparent than ever. We were together for years, and then when it came to being sexual, we created our little space, our little bubble, and dropped into what was really there and what we wanted and what we were afraid of, and it was coming from me in such a different place. It was like actually showing up for me to speak. Oh. And the same was happening for him, I think, in a different way. Yeah. Mm. And then at the end, we sat there opposite each other, and I said, and we just sat there, and I said, this is non-NRE sex. Like, this is, here we are sitting here looking at each other, and this is not new relationship stuff, you know? Yeah. And I kind of was worried. I thought, oh, this is just gonna thud. And it just that honesty and him getting it too, just like, it was like, just crazy. And so I'm so appreciative for that. It's not my first taste of that, but it was such a big experience of it, and it was just mind blowing. And
I just love the way you're like that experience of how like that vulnerable sharing, like when you name the truth there, like, and both people get it, and you can both be present to it, like how that's like the sort of liberation in that, how much energy gets released when we're not like having to deny something. It's like, oh, so good.
And in that space to just go, I don't know what's next. You know, like, how are we gonna start without like this oomphy thing of, you know, it was amazing. So,
I just love what you're sharing. I mean, just that having that mutual commitment to like be curious about what actually wants to happen here, you know, like without going to the sort of the time-tested game plan, you know, where we just sort of go unconscious and run some program. It's like, it's amazing. It's so different.
You know, my relationship with this person has always been extremely different. And in the beginning, I was so tuned into, in a way, like, man, I want to fuck this guy. And my guidance was like, not yet. And I'd never had that before. And I'd never had such an open, like, desire while being present, right?
Yeah.
And so I really have listened a lot to my guidance, which has been super awesome. And so it just amped up to a different level this past weekend.
I so love the way you're like just speaking to the way that like strong desire doesn't equal action. You know, it's like we can actually hold that strong desire. We can experience the strong desire, and sometimes it's not appropriate to act on it. It just doesn't feel right. You know, and it doesn't mean that we need to shut down the desire either. We can totally like feel that desire and know that like we're not going to act on it. Like it's not the right time, or it's not the right person, or whatever.
Right. I gotta say I'm not so spot on with that sometimes, but but so
confess that too.
So but if oh, and God, this came up when Joel was talking, is like that yes, yes, you know, like when you're together with somebody, like this is why I'm so afraid to date, right? Like, because I've never dated, like, you know, gone out with somebody I don't know or something like that. And it's, you know, it's been a long time. But like, how do you say we intend to connect? And there's such a load of shit about, okay, we're supposed to be sexual now. We're supposed to be doing something. Too bad I'm not feeling it. Power through. Oh, and so how to keep alive and awake and throw out the program and just say, what is here now is so, it's such a thing.
And I love the way you're doing it. I mean, it's like, it's so beautiful. It's so empowering, you know, like to speak to how, like, we don't want to follow a script. Like, how can we authentically show up if we're following some narrative about like how a date's supposed to go or something, or what dating is? It's like to really honor what's true here, what's true between us.
Yeah.
And that capacity to speak to it the way you are, you know, to have a sort of meta conversation about this. Like, I don't want it to be scripted. Like, I want the truth about what wants to happen now.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, it helps clear that space, you know, let's just throw out the script and like be like, you know, let it be in what's here. Yeah.
Do people do that on normal dates? Like, I'm so far out of normal date land.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it's like that's the invitation, right? And obviously that requires like I mean, that's already vulnerable. You know, to speak to that is already vulnerable. You know, we're already like opening an intimate space there, because somebody could say like, I don't want any part of that, or that's way too fast, or, you know. So it's like feeling into like what's possible, like you're feeling the right, you know, like what intimacy wants to happen here, if any.
Oops. Yes, sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. Yeah, maybe that's it. I'm sorry.
And to really throw out to throw out normal, you know, like, because normal is just somebody else's script. It's just the historical script.
No, it's, I mean, okay, maybe, I don't know. So for me, I've been like through this last, it's not funny, through this last partner, I was sort of dropped into this very open sexual scene, and part of me was just, the sensual part of me was like, oh, hell yes. And the sexual part of me was like, I don't have any, you know, nope. And it's like, is it just lack of guidance or shutdown about that? And then invitations for, hey, you want to get together, and all my load of shit, and probably both ways about what that means, right? And so just like, well, if you want to spend time with me, like, I need to like have some sort of resonance with you that I'm not feeling. And I want to work toward kind of what you described at some point, just like that, when the whole world is sex, right? I mean, the whole world is this wild energy. And then you can like decide which one, where you're going to go, you know, that's my idea, but I don't experience it. So anyway, I don't know what normal dating is, because even though.
Yeah, and it's, I think innocent curiosity is like so appropriate, you know, because really, like, the way we've been doing the whole sex relationship thing hasn't worked very well for most of us. You know, and like even images of like, you know, the whole world is sex and it's all the sexual energy and so on, so we should be having sex with somebody. It's like, no, that doesn't necessarily follow at all. You know, like to really like honor what's true for us. And it can be totally different for different people. You know, we're all on our own journey, our own exploration. And normal has such a shaming, vibration to it. It's like
Yeah.
we're all trying to like, am I normal? Is it normal? Is this okay?
Yeah.
And we just make ourselves wrong. We make our experience wrong. It's like, what's wrong with me that I enjoy the sensuality, but I don't want to have sex? So, it's like, well, that's the truth. There's something that's very true there. It's like to bring loving awareness to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and just to have the boundaries and the personal strength to just say what's true.
Yeah.
And that's what's okay, because that's what's okay with me.
Mm-hmm.
And the other person's in charge of making it okay for them.
Exactly.
But when I say the whole world is sex, I don't mean like sexual. I guess I just mean like alive. With and you said something like that. I know you weren't saying boobies everywhere. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's so tempting to go into ideology around sexuality. Like everyone's got that. Like it's almost because the shame's so thick. Like everyone wants to sort of justify the way that they're doing relationship and sex as like, well, this is the way it should be, or this is like what paradise would look like. And the truth is, like, we have no idea. I mean, like, we're in the truth ourselves. It's like we're being invited to like pay attention to what's true for us. How does it want to unfold through us right now? And to really like be so innocent and open to whatever that can look like. It may be complete asexuality. It may mean promiscuity. I mean, it can mean whatever it is. Just like really honoring whatever's true there. And just staying conscious for each movement, because we never know what's going to happen next.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
So appreciate you,
Yes.
Sarah. So beautiful. So good.
Thank you.
And next we have Mathieu.
Yes. Hello. Thank you, Adam. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can't see you. Are you?
Well, maybe if I speak, I'll appear on your screen. If you have the speaker view. Can you see me now?
I'm still not seeing you.
Can someone see me? Maybe.
I can see you. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Richard. Do you know how to toggle to speaker mode, perhaps, instead of gallery?
There you are. There you are. Great. Okay.
Great.
Wonderful.
Hello, Adam. Yeah. So thank you very much for this time and for this topic. It's very precious. And there are two things I would like to mention to you and to. So I'll start with one that's very much related to what you've just said. So you've already answered a lot of my questions, but there's one thing. So it's about. I find it really tricky to, I can focus on my feelings when interacting, and when there is sexual tension in specifically, I can focus on my feelings, or I can like make space for the others, but I find that it's really tricky to find the balance. It's I don't know. I assume I'm not the only one, but I just find it really challenging, and I've always found it like really challenging. And I can, now that I'm more aware than I used to be in the past, I can really see how I very easily move towards what I should do, what is appropriate to do, and what is the right thing to do. But even in situations when I'm with people I know I can trust, and I know, it's kind of a given that we're going to be present for what we feel and that it's just fine. So even in those situations, I find it's like either I'm really, watching what's happening in me, but then I feel like I get like somehow almost like very passive, I want to say, it's like, it's almost like I take the back seat, and I watch what's happening in me, and I'm like, okay, but or if I you know, decide to make room for the other, then it's like I lose touch with what I'm feeling. So I don't know, maybe it's just practice, but I don't know, maybe there's a trick. So I wanted to mention this to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's so great to notice that, right? Like that it can be, you know, difficult. I mean, it sounds like it's going to be difficult for you to pay attention to yourself, like when you're in relationship, like it's sort of an either or.
Actually, in relationship, it works better usually when once like, but it's like on first, or, you know, yeah, like kind of on the flirt stage, or even just like meeting someone and then kind of not being too sure, you know, feeling something for that person and feeling, okay, that's, you know, there is something coming from her, but, you know, what is it and what do I do? Then in a relationship, usually just, yeah, actually, thanks for mentioning it. I never even realized, I guess, but yeah, it's much easier in a relationship. It's it becomes after, it's not immediate, but after, I don't know, maybe a few times that we meet, or after like spending a bit of time together, then it's just, it becomes very natural to have this space where what I feel and what she feels is yeah. And actually, I maybe I shouldn't say this, but in front of people, but usually my partners appreciate this, that they really feel there is space, and at the same time I'm in touch with what I feel. But it's more like when yeah, it's, for me, it's always been the challenge my whole life, is when I meet someone and, you know, am I imagining that she likes me or me? And then I don't know, I guess I get very mental about it. And when I try to drop the mental thing, then it's almost like either I train the spotlight on me, or I train the spotlight on her, but doing both at the same time seems
Yeah,
almost.
sure. Yeah. Yeah, maybe just like turn the spotlight on you right now, and just to feel like uh yeah, what's happening there in that sort of space where like it's a new relationship or new connection, and
Oh, yeah.
yeah, just like
Wow.
what's going on for you there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe especially what's like what feels like it's at stake, or what's being feared, or
Oh, wow. I mean, you know, it's yeah, it's very unsettling. Um, and actually, recently I've been able to. I mean, I just life brought it this way, that I had to look at it, and yeah, I mean, it's totally fear of rejection, but at the same time, there's like such a strong need for intimacy. When I'm been on my own, when I've been single for a while, when I haven't shared intimacy for a while, which unfortunately is kind of like repeats itself like again and again, like spending a much longer time alone that I would like, and, you know, without even physical touch or everything, which was very much the case now over the last few months, you know, being stuck in a place almost by myself, for like
yeah,
some arts reading.
yeah, so beautiful. Like just like notice the pain there, notice the longing,
Yeah, wow.
and how desperate that place can feel. Like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
sort of can feel like life or death. You know, like I'm.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely, life or death. I don't know if this is only me, but I really trace it to childhood, because as I see in children, you know, even I remember, like, but it happens with every child. If we, you know, when you're in a crowd and you lose your parents, for
Yeah.
example, or they lose you, basically, it really feels like life and death, right? I mean, anyone who has had this experience, it feels like. And it's very much something like this. It's like, what if I am alone? Then better not. This life is going to be over. And yeah, very much so. And
Yeah.
it's very I don't know what's the right word, but I must say I do struggle because it does show up when I meet someone, and I really have to put a lot of energy into not letting this take come to the forefront and take the center stage.
Yeah. So
Wow, it's almost bringing tears even now just speaking about it. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and it really deserves to be felt. It so wants that loving attention. It's like it's calling for our loving attention. You know, the willingness to feel the depth of the pain there.
Yeah.
You know, that it gets to be held, gets to be felt. You know, so often we reject ourselves there. You know, we just like, it feels so vulnerable and it just feels so helpless. Like we want nothing to do with feeling it. We just like, you know, find a solution, find someone to like take care of it, to make us not have to feel it.
Well, and actually, through experience, I realized it's actually counterproductive because it brings so much expectations, and then I can see how energetically there's like this load of expectations suddenly, and the other person, if she's opening, which, you know, in that case, at that stage, let's say she is, and then it's immediate, the effect is immediate. Like, it's like, you know, it can be like a half of an inch, you know, movement backward, half of an inch, but it means so much. And yeah, it took me a long time to understand what was going on. But even now, knowing that this is just the load of my expectations, you know, that she can see through my eyes, body language, whatever, even subconsciously, is even knowing it, it's just like I really have to, yeah, to put a lot of energy to not to let it happen. And then yeah, I'm realizing now as we speak that yeah, that's actually yeah, I don't, it's almost like I don't have energy to do anything else and to bring loving awareness to whatever I feel. It's like it's contracting and yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it just deserves so much tender attention. You know, the way we reject these places in ourselves is like, it's like that's the sort of the deepest wound, is like that we reject this place in ourselves. We just bury it.
Yeah.
And
I must say, I feel very lonely in it, in this. I still want, maybe, you know, I was about to say struggle, which says a lot that I should use this word, should think about this word, but yeah, it feels, there's a feeling of injustice also, which I guess is probably some subconscious, you know, thing, traits, you know, dating from childhood. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
I see now. It's like the more I need company, you know, being needy is it's probably the best way to be, I don't know, turned away or yeah.
and it's especially true when it's unconscious. You know, it's
Yeah. Oh yeah.
really beautiful when we take responsibility of it and we're conscious of it and we ask for what we need. It's so beautiful because then people feel safe to say yes. Well, we can help them feel safe to say yes or no by really giving them that freedom to say yes or no. But ultimately, it's like meeting that need within ourselves, like our willingness to feel that need, that place of need, is so important. To not reject it, to not make it wrong, to not say like I'm a bad needy one who doesn't deserve love.
Oh wow. Oh my God, it's so true.
We so deserve love in this place. We so deserve to be loved here. And it's really beautiful to be with you here, feeling this with you, you know, because we're like consciously bringing attention to it. It's so beautiful being with you, holding you here. It's not what shame says it is. You know, the more we reject and deny these places of need inside ourselves, you know, the more they just act subconsciously, unconsciously, you know, and do all kinds of damage to our relationships.
Well, even I must say, even because I am aware, but I'm realizing now, really as we speak, that it's more that I realize through experience that it's not going to take me anywhere. So I've been like trying to work out strategies, like, what should I do? Should I like pretend that I'm not needy, at least for the first couple of times we meet, until I can finally be vulnerable? And this sort of thing. And this is what triggers this whole feeling of injustice, that it's so unfair that I should pretend so that I can finally find the space, the intimate space to be myself. And wow.
Yeah, I mean, this place is totally valid, and deserves loving attention. And it's so beautiful when we see it clearly like this, see its innocence, see what it really needs, because then we can make, we can, hold it in a way where it gets what it wants. Just not to be shamed, not to be made wrong, to be included, to be felt. It's really beautiful to hold each other in these places. When it's consciously, it's like, I mean, like who, like I mean, if you were here, I just so want to hold you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I can feel your presence very much.
Yeah, it's like the heart just reaches out, and there's, because it's like you're just so in the truth of it. You're just so in the truth of it. It's not running any kind of manipulation or a game of hiding or anything like that. It's just like it's so honest, it's so innocent, it's so beautiful. It's so easy to be with when it's like this. When it's running its manipulative strategies, these places are so difficult to be with. Because we're constantly having to like, what the hell is going on here? And yeah.
I guess that's the point. Is that when I'm faced with the possibility of like, oh, maybe something will happen with her, then I guess I just decide subconsciously, but still it's a decision to just put away my feelings and just pretend act according to a script. And wow, it's so sad to see it. But I remember now that there was one time, because not so long ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I remember very clearly like going to a gathering and like saying, it was going to last for a few weeks, and I said, now every time I find myself in this situation, in front of someone, and I feel this attraction, I'm going to just focus only on what's going in this house, inside. And it was great. I had a great time. It was fantastic. But I don't know, halfway through that, after maybe a week, I don't know. I lost that direction, maybe I could say, or that intention. And interesting. I just got again into the habits. But I remember how every encounter of this kind, every time I was feeling attracted, I was, it was great. It was like a new adventure every time, because I was really just looking inside and no expectations. And I was even like playing with it and saying, no expectation. No, not gay, but just like really looking. And it was, So I know what I'll do next few times. I mean, I feel attracted. I guess that's just really, because I know this is going to bring this need even more to the surface. So I guess it's a good idea, isn't it, to just go with this intention of like, say, well, I'm going to bring loving awareness.
Yeah.
Even when the fire is hot.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, especially then. Yeah.
Wow. It's I feel so much lighter now.
Thank you for sharing so vulnerably.
Thank you.
So beautiful.
I did want to ask something. I don't know if this, but it's going to be much shorter, I hope. Can I?
Yeah, quick question. Yeah.
It's more you know, sometimes like sexual energies can be really strong, and they can get like distracted. And now I'm talking much like different situations, just when I'm by myself or doing something completely different, where there's not, it's just like comes sometimes, it seems seemingly out of the blue, and but it's yeah, it can be really distractive, even sometimes unsettling if it builds up. And I still haven't figured out what to.
What's the destructive part?
Distractive, not destructive. Yeah. It's like my thoughts. It's not always obvious at first, but it's kind of sometimes there's like sexual energies coming, even though there might not be anything to trigger them, but they just come up. And I remember, for example, in meditation retreats, sometimes they just like come up, even when I'm by myself.
Yeah.
And they just, because, you know, I just take it they belong to human nature, so they just come. But even in daily life, they can just come, and then yeah, they're like a distraction. I notice that my thoughts tend, even my feelings tend to go in this direction, like very easily.
Yeah, and maybe they just want some attention.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's tricky. Yeah, it feels like it's playing with fire, because it's like, yeah, if I give them more attention, it's like they become stronger, and yeah.
And then what?
And then it can get to the point that I find it hard to fall asleep at night, or to get focused on anything. If I need to be focused on a job, for example, on a translation, and then I'm like, you know, I keep getting distracted, and I start making typos, and yeah. It's more because in itself, I don't mind it being here, but when it becomes more like a hindrance, and yeah.
Yeah, I just want you to give yourself permission to enjoy what you're calling a distraction, a hindrance, and like notice you actually enjoy it. Like it actually feels good in your system. And, you know, we can have all kinds of like fear ideas around this, like, oh no, we can't allow that because it's going to ruin my work and my, you know. But it's not really true. You know, like when we're present to everything, like everything has its own intelligence. You know, it finds its own integration.
Okay. Thank you. That's yeah. Thank you. That's very clear, short, and deep. I like this kind of advice. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Next we have Brett Linehan. I'm going to unmute Brett.
Hi.
Hi, Brad.
Hi, Adam.
Hi.
I wanted to speak to the energy of aloneness and not being able to find a partner when you want one.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very confusing place to be, because I'll just speak about myself, I guess. I have a conscious desire to have a partner, and I think I'm kind of wired for it to be like a kind of special person, like a more selective. I tend to reject people a lot when I'm around them. Like, nah, this person's not quite right, and yeah, it seems like there's a lot of unconscious momentum towards not ever reaching that sweet point of intimacy. And it's hard to make sense of it, because in my conscious mind, I think, oh, well, I want this, but then every force that's external to me and internal to me seems to be not giving me this experience that I'm telling myself that I want.
Well, what a wonderful place to inquire into.
It's incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many paradoxes in this space, you know, because and the paradoxes are created by like the stuff we're not seeing, you know. So yeah, what is there? Like, so what comes up for you? Like, can you give me an example? Like, what's coming up to like have you say no when you think you should be saying yes?
Like the other day, I was hanging out with a friend, and I thought about like initiating an erotic question into the relationship. So I thought about, okay, how would I do that in a way that isn't that feels good? And before I was ever able to say anything, I kind of just decided, I don't think I'm even attracted to this person. I'm just super lonely and kind of desperate, and I'd rather actually feel an attraction.
Yeah, to feel, yeah, and just to bring loving attention to that place of loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
That place of desire, of longing.
It feels very mental in the way I.
And what are you feeling right now as you turn towards it? What can you feel?
Well, I find myself wondering if there's a difference between like being with someone who you're not attracted to in an overwhelming sort of way, and someone who you do feel like you see them and you're like, oh my God, you just go gaga over them. Like, it's a very different energy, and maybe at different times we look for different things in different people, and it's all very confusing to figure out like what I actually want, I guess. I don't take a lot of time to say like, oh, do I actually like this or not?
Yeah, and just to notice like that, yeah, like where that's registering is like to let yourself feel where that's registering, like the attraction or repulsion or whatever it is, the desire, like to let yourself be inside that experience. Because you tend to like figure it out and like have a map of like, you know, these are my needs and this is what I want. It's like all that is like, like you say, it's so mental. It's like so disconnected from like what's real, what's true, what's authentic.
Yeah, when I do see someone who I like am really attracted to, like all the way down to the root of my body, like I don't think I let myself be with that for very long. It's like, oh, I shouldn't even look at her. Like she'll be offended that I'm just admiring her body or something. Or like if she's often dating somebody else, I don't want to like cause any sort of conflict by showing interest. And even if we do show interest, that's like we were talking about before, it's very, very vulnerable, and that's its own kind of meditation of like, can I be okay with everything that I feel right now? Because it's an awful lot, and just kind of let myself lose control of myself a little bit and go into it.
Yeah, it's an awful lot there. Yeah, and just to like, again, to like let yourself feel your experience. You so get to have the experience you're having. Because often in this place, we're like, we make our experience wrong, and then we'll project it onto like, oh, I'm going to upset someone if I'm enjoying being with them. If I'm attracted, it's like they're going to be upset, you know. It's a bit like, you know, it's like the way we can project shame. We're going to be shamed. We're going to be made wrong out there. We're going to cause.
Yeah. Some other people have mentioned this today.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and again, it's just come back to the reality of it. It's like, no, you totally get to feel what you're feeling. It's not wrong.
Yeah, it feels pretty good to not get lost in like of what could happen.
Yeah, I mean, fear will always find threats. You know, like when we feel fear, it goes looking for like a threat. You know, it's like it goes looking for a threat. It goes like trying to set up some projection out there of like why this is dangerous.
Yeah, so maybe I could pay more attention to like the actual fear and thrill that I felt looking at that woman, and not in terms of like what threats that could imply. that I need to worry about before I, you know, just get lost in thoughts about. Yeah, that's really insightful.
Yeah, to feel the fear, like the excitement and the fear that often mix together there, you know, like to let yourself feel that, like how alive it is. Yeah, without facing something out there, which is often, you know, just pure projection. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I did the little hand raise like long before I was called on, and it's funny how this sort of topic, you just think of like 40 different things before you get to me, and this is the one that I landed on, and it's very cool to see that that there is a sort of lower in my body activation that occurs sometimes, and sometimes it's simply not occurring, and I try to like follow my when I try to get into intimate sexual relationships with people where there is that deep sort of non-activation, that emptiness, like I don't end up enjoying the relationship. It just kind of contributes to a lack of intimacy feeling in me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, what am I trying to do here? But it is like, when there is that emptiness, it's like, oh, well, here's a relation, here's like a sexual intimate partner I could have where there isn't that fear. It just feels like, oh, I could just slip right into it, and wouldn't that be easy? But like at the same time, it isn't enlivening and exciting and activating like is actually sometimes available. But I guess it's the fear that we mentioned that kind of stands in that space of being really turned on and aroused by somebody who you see.
Yeah, it's so good to like honor the truth of our experience. Yeah, I mean the mind has all kinds of judgments, and you know we've been taught to judge, you know, our arousal, what we're supposed to be aroused by and not aroused by, and so on. It's so good just to listen to our actual experience.
I want to make space for if there's time for anybody else to share, because I feel satisfied with that. And I know we're running out of time.
Yeah, thank you, Brett. Yeah.
Thanks to everybody.
And we have a question from Diane. I'm unmuting Diane.
Diane, did you say?
Yeah, hi.
Hi, Diane, yes.
Hi, Adam.
Hi.
Oh, so what is my question? So my situation is I had a lover who's very, very part-time, too part-time, who doesn't really live here. I get to see maybe every other week, sometimes less, sometimes a little more, but only comes in town and then leaves, right? And I've been waiting to see if that situation will change, but I've also been less attached to it changing since it's been a long time. But it's very hard to let go of because it's like a twin flame. The connection is like beyond different than anything I will ever probably experience again, right? It's like the deepest eye contact, and it's on some other plane. I don't know how to explain it. So in the meantime, I'm on single sites, and I met somebody recently that I almost met, like that I met in person once, and we almost met up, but we didn't, like 7 years ago. So then we just met, and there was this instant connection, right? And he's kind of like the opposite. So I find myself in these situations where I'm kind of polyamorous by accident, but I told him about this person, so I'm not hiding anything. But I see, and I also see these two parts of my personality though too. Like on the one hand, I love the freedom and the excitement. On the other hand, like this guy's got kids, a 12-year-old who lives at home full time. And and then I go, well, what do I want? Like I can't, should I just decide that that's not what I want? But then when it's so rare for me to feel the attraction, right, on that level, that part of me like goes, I don't know, well, let me just check it out. Like I can't really imagine that I'm going to want to live with somebody who's got a 12-year-old. And so all these questions come up, right? Like, am I polyamorous? Am I just attracting these two sides of myself to look at them more? The part that gets afraid of being, you know, that gets needy, and the other part that, you know, just needs more space. And
yeah, and just, yeah, like, it's so difficult for us to just really honor the truth of our experience, and like whatever's unfolding, you know, however it wants to unfold. It's like we're so you know, you can just feel how this field of like intimate relationships and sexuality and so on, there's so many rules about what it is, and like immediately we've got to label it, and like, well, am I polyamorous? Are we going to like define myself this way? You know, like, what is it? What kind of relationship? You know, like we're supposed to know all this ahead of time. We're supposed to pick some ideology and live our lives according to that. It's like the invitation to really listen to what's true for us, like deeply listening to what's true for us moment to moment. And we never know what's going to happen. That's
true. And I mean, for the moment, I'm okay with it. It's scary because I feel like I could lose one or the other, or I could hurt this guy, or I could be really attached to both and then have to pick one, because even if he's probably not likely to be polyamorous, this person, I don't even know if I could do that, right, long term. I just, it's, so again, I try and figure it out and I can't.
Yeah, there's no way to manage it all. I mean, like,
can't manage it, right.
Well, I mean, relationships are alive, they're dynamic. You know, if we knew what's going to happen, it wouldn't be interesting.
True.
You have this image of like, well, you know, you become husband and wife, and like it's like this sort of like, now you're like these sort of inert objects that are just going to like live happily ever after together or something. But it's like the reality is always like relationships are alive, they're dynamic. You know, they're super alive when we're in the truth of it.
Right.
We're really present to what's happening, and we're intimate.
I think the other thought that just came, that it's kind of there's so many qualities of, you know, together they make like the perfect, you know, the qualities of both like are just such a great combination. But you just can't have all of that in one person, apparently.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. Again, I guess I just have to not label.
Yeah, and really just
I'm being honest and just not label, not
honoring the truth. Yeah, honoring the truth of your experience. And it doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't have to have a label. It doesn't have to have some rational justification.
Right.
It's like, this is what's happening right now. This apparently seems to be what wants to happen. You know.
Right. It's never. I think it's just that I never would have planned this. I feel like I always end up feeling like I'm way more unconventional than I would have thought on some level.
Yeah, and that's often a consequence of like following what's true for us. It's like, wow, this is not what we were taught it was supposed to look like.
Right. And I'm more and more okay with it. I mean, that's the good part.
Awesome.
Right. So and there's a vulnerability in it, right? There's just a vulnerability in not knowing where, having it be that alive, I guess.
Yeah, and that's not a problem. That's not a sign that something's gone wrong. The fact that we're like on the edge and that we're feeling that vulnerability, feeling how alive and dynamic this is, it's like, that's the invitation, you know, to be this alive.
Yeah.
This open, this exposed.
Yeah. Kind of scary, but exciting. I mean, it's, how else are you going to live, I guess, right?
So good.
I think that was it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I lost Sarah now. Yeah, really, I've just so appreciated the way that you've shown up in this space with each other, and and helped us explore this territory just like with so much courage and authenticity. It feels so wonderful, to be in this space with you and just exploring the mystery of this. It's this, so rich, so alive, so open. Really, thank you so much.